A crazy weekend at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix of 2019, round 10 of the season, and it saw Lewis Hamilton become the most successful British driver ever at Silverstone. Welcome to the Grand Review. We move away from the dramatic and brilliant Austrian Grand Prix to the halfway stage of the season, the centre of the world and the centre of the country. It's Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. It's round 10 of the season. We've already had 9 different races, 3 different winners. Max Verstappen was the first to break the Mercedes dominance. 2 weeks' time with the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheim, before a week later the Hungarian Grand Prix for the summer break. Then we're back at the end of August and early September for the Belgian Grand Prix. Italy serves as round 14, the last stop on the European calendar, before Singapore, Russia, Japan, the Americas with Mexico, United States and Brazil, and we all round out on the 1st of December in Abu Dhabi. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Lewis Hamilton leading the way, 197 points. His 5th place in Austria was his worst of the season. Bottas is closing him down. Verstappen is now the next up as well. And if you look down, still no points for George Russell or for Robert Kubica. And that means in terms of the Constructors' Championship, Williams still have no points coming into their home race on the anniversary of their first win 40 years ago. Haas F1 on 16, they're battling with Toro Rosso and Racing Point and Alpha. Renault and McLaren still battling it out. Ferrari and Red Bull still in the midst of their own because Mercedes are dominant in 2019. Well, the weekend kicked off with high drama, with Haas F1 reportedly losing their main sponsor of Rich Energy after Rich Energy were employed in a legal battle against White Bikes over copyright of their logo. However, the official Twitter account for Rich Energy tweeted that they were no longer the title sponsor of Haas F1 after their disastrous performance at the Austrian Grand Prix. Now, be it or not, it wasn't to do with the car's performance, it was due to other circumstances in that Grand Prix. An official statement came out on Friday morning from Haas saying that Rich Energy is still our title sponsor, and the tweet was by a rogue individual. We still don't know who that rogue individual was, but the Rich Energy drama seems to be continuing all throughout the weekend, and it certainly was the high talking point as well. But coming in to Friday's first practice session, the news was glorious with the announcement that Silverstone was going to be remaining on the calendar as the host of the British Grand Prix until at least 2024. That meant that we can all sit back and enjoy the first practice session. Here's the report. And what a dramatic day it was then in Silverstone for first practice. Let's get straight into that report. And it starts with a bit of an unusual one. Pierre Gasly's last lap dash, literally crossing the line with 5 seconds to go, put Red Bull on top and claimed first blood here at the opening practice session for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. He is ahead of Mercedes as well, as they all got to grip with the freshly laid tarmac, the second time in 3 years that the tarmac here has been relaid at Silverstone. Of course, relaid after last year's misery with the MotoGP race, where the race had to be cancelled because it was too wet and the track just wasn't draining. We'll get on to more about that worry later on in the programme. However, Valtteri Bottas was the man to beat in the closing stages of the session. The Mercedes driver was setting a 1:27.629 on the soft compound tyre, which is the C3 this weekend. The hardest compound tyres are here at Silverstone. So that's C1, C2 and C3 for hard, medium and soft. Red Bull's late run propelled their pair up the standings. Gasly was top and he ended up on a 1:27.173. Valtteri Bottas never qualified higher than 4th here, managed to get up the order as well and put P2 on a time which was 0.456 off of Pierre Gasly's time. Max Verstappen ended third, 8 tenths off the pace, and Lewis Hamilton in the second Mercedes was fourth, nearly a second off the pace, and actually a second off the pace was the fifth place man of Charles Leclerc, our second place driver at the Austrian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel were off the pace as well as Leclerc. Leclerc spun as well at turn 4 early on, but he wasn't the only one to have gone off. Rain did strike, however, just half an hour of the session to go, and we had a mini rain shower at the circuit. It didn't stay for long, but it did keep some of the midfield out of the circuit, and it put a stopper on proceedings when it was going so well. Drivers had started the session in cautious fashion anyway, aware that the new Silverstone service might be pretty slippery, considering that Formula 1 is the first series to race on this new tarmac, having only been laid 3 weeks ago. It was actually a bit interesting because in the first 20 minutes, Romain Grosjean left the garage and spun literally at the pit exit. It's an uphill exit here, but poor old Romain Grosjean, as soon as he got off the limiter, spun the car around and knocked off the front wing. As we already said, Haas are not having a great weekend here either, as they're currently in the rich energy battle with white bikes over that lawsuit. But he and his mechanics laughed about it as well after. It was a funny little thing to happen. Kimi Raikkonen brought out the early red flag and the only red flag of the session as well. His Alfa Romeo stopped with an apparent engine issue on the Wellington Straight. He was able to coax it with 50 minutes left of the session to the exit of Brooklands, but just got before Luffield before it cut out and had to red flag the session. Renault disappointed from an Austrian Grand Prix in which they failed to score points, bounced back 8th place for Nico Hülkenberg, setting a time of 1 minute 29.031 to lead teammate Danny Ricciardo, even though at spin at turn 6 for Alexander Albon, he finished in 9th place, just behind Danny Ricciardo, his teammate Danny Kvyat ending up in 13th place as well. Moving further on as well, Carlos Sainz, as we said, rounded out his top 10 for McLaren as well. A pretty easy session for him, a 1.989 off the leading time. Lando Norris struggled with the new surface as well. He spun at the final corner of Club Corner just before the clears off, narrowly avoided Sainz in 11th as well. The racing points were split by Kvyat, so that was Perez 13th, Kvyat 13th and Stroll 14th at their home race, literally home race because located just outside of the last corner of Club. Guess where? It's the Racing Point Team Factory as well. Kubica rounded out the standings just 4.948 seconds off the pace as Williams experimented with intermediate tyres at the end of the session. George Russell was 1.5 seconds quicker, ending up ahead of the retiree of Kimi Raikkonen in 17th place. Loads of fun then in the opening session as well. Let's take a look at the times in the first practice session for the British Grand Prix. So Pierre Gasly was fastest on a 1:27.173 after the first practice session at the British Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas was second on 1:27.629. Max Verstappen third on 1:28.009. Lewis Hamilton fourth on 1:28.122. Charles Leclerc rounds out the top 5 on a 1:28.253. Sebastian Vettel was sixth fastest on 1:28.304. Nico Hülkenberg was 7th on 1:28.803. Daniel Ricciardo 8th on 1:29.031, Alexander Albon in 9th on a 1:29.093, and Carlos Sainz rounds out the top 10 on 1:29.162. Lando Norris is 11th on a 1:29.170, Sergio Perez 12th on a 1:29.453, Danny Kvyat 13th on 1:29.5, Lance Stroll 14th on 1:29.657, Antonio Giovinazzi 15th on 1:30.099, Kevin Magnussen 16th on 1:30.605, George Russell 17th on a 1:30.741, Kimi Raikkonen 18th on 1:30.747, followed by Romain Grosjean 19th on a 1:30.811, and Robert Kubica rounding out the 20th on the grid and the last driver on 1:32.121. Free practice 2 got underway on Friday afternoon, and it was even more drama than the first. A lot of high runs, a lot of tyre degradation, the new surface as well, just getting to grips. Didn't help, of course, with the first practice session that the rain was in the air, the track was too slippery. It really was a bit of a bloodbath, but FP2 was even better. So here's the report. Let's move on to the free practice 2 session then here from the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And it's Valtteri Bottas who led a Mercedes 1-2 in free practice 2. In a second practice at Silverstone on Friday, Ferrari pair Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel finishing third and fourth as well. Numerous drivers struggling with gusts of wind as well, and the low track temperatures and the low as well tyre grip on the circuit. It was a fun day at Silverstone to go racing as well. Bottas, as we said, led most of FP1 before Gasly briefly took over at the end of the session with his late flying lap. Mercedes driver Bottas, comfortable hold in P1 though throughout free practice number 2, ended the second session at 1:26.732 seconds on the soft tyre. That was enough to beat Hamilton, who finished just by 0.069 seconds behind as well. A car issue there in the final 30 minutes as well. A spark plug failed at the Mercedes. They had to take the little engine cover off where the spark plugs are, replace it, but they got him back out with about 15 minutes to go. No problem at all. He only completed 25 laps compared to Hamilton's 35 laps, so it cost him 10 laps in total. Ferrari and Leclerc were 2/10 behind the leaders in the session as well. It was Leclerc third and Vettel fourth as well. 0.251 behind the leader as well. Not great session for the Ferraris, but very much 2x2 at the moment. This morning's pace setter of Pierre Gasly settled for 5th place in his Red Bull in the second session, half a second off Bottas. McLaren's Lando Norris, who is at his home race this weekend along with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, and you can technically count Alexander Albon in that as he is the British-born Thai driver. He was split the 2 Red Bulls as well in 6th, and that was Verstappen, therefore in 7th place as well. The Britain was also one of several drivers to struggle in the new tarmac and the crosswind effect that we had at Silverstone as well, going off to the Maggott and Beckett section. He was in a good company as well. Hamilton went off the track there at Chapel twice before the Hangar Straight. Vettel also went off there as well. 8th place for McLaren of Carlos Sainz. Alexander Albon was competitive throughout the session. He went up in 9th place. For Toro Rosso, he was 5 thousandths of a second ahead of Racing Point Sergio Perez, and a gap of just 1.270 separated the top 10 throughout the grid. Moving on, the long runs were cut short with just under 15 minutes of the session remaining as 14th place Daniel Ricciardo stopped down in the Maggotts Beckett and just on the entrance to Chapel, triggering a virtual safety car. Competitive in free practice 1, Renault ended up towards the back of the crowded midfield later on in the afternoon session. Nico Hülkenberg 15th overall as well behind his teammate. However, there was just a little choose on the rivals in the midfield. Sainz 8th, just 3/10 off faster than Alfa Romeo in Antonio Giovinazzi, who ended up down in 17th place. Magnussen's 12th finish was small condolence for Haas as well, when Grosjean kept his garage for the first 40 minutes of FP2 with a suspected hydraulic leak. The start of the British Grand Prix, not ideal after what happened in free practice 1. He ended up in 18th place. But they bring up the rear, as usual, with the Williams drivers on the anniversary of their first victory at the 1979 British Grand Prix, which is actually this Sunday, the same day as the race as well. So 50 years exactly since Williams first won their race, and we'll be having a special documentary to that as well. But you can watch that as well on full on Monday, so just after this podcast as well. Bringing up the rear as well, as I said, George Russell's car leaking with under an hour to go the session. He was out of it. And Robert Kubica was 0.5 seconds faster than his teammate. They finished competing 37 laps to Russell's tally of only 11. An interesting session then here so far, and an interesting day at Silverstone. What will happen? Well, it's only time to tell. Let's take a look at the times from the second session of practice for the British Grand Prix. So Valtteri Bottas tops the second practice session at the British Grand Prix on 1:26.732. Lewis Hamilton is second on 1:26.801. Charles Leclerc third on 1:26.929. Sebastian Vettel fourth on a 1:27.180. And Pierre Gasly rounds out the top 5 on 1:27.249. Lando Norris is 6th on 1:27.546. Max Verstappen is 7th on a 1:27.562. Carlos Sainz 8th on 1:27.987. Alexander Albon 9th on a 1:27.997, and Sergio Perez rounds out the top 10 on 1:28.002. Danny Kvyat is 11th on a 1:28.008. Kevin Magnussen is in 12th place on a 1:28.059. Kimi Raikkonen 13th on a 1:28.126. Danny Ricciardo stopping out on track and only managing 14th is on a 1:28.128. On a 1:28.217 in 15th place is the other Renault of Nico Hülkenberg. Lance Stroll is in 16th place on a 1:28.240. Antonio Giovinazzi is 17th on 1:28.294. Romain Grosjean is 18th on 1:28.794. That's then followed by Robert Kubica in 19th on a 1:29.935. And George Russell is 20th on a 1:30.514. Saturday came and the rain was in the air for free practice 3 as well. Would it hold off for qualifying? Let's take a look at what happened in, first of all, free practice 3. So let's get into the Saturday practice review then, the third practice session of the weekend, the last one as well, and Ferrari hit back in the final practice session for the British Grand Prix, taking a 1-2 lead with Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel setting a 1-2. Following very close behind was the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton in third place, the top three just separated by 0.049. So that is incredibly close coming into the British Grand Prix qualifying session. Leclerc's efforts at a flying lap with 10 minutes remaining were hampered by traffic, but the Monegasque driver finally put together a lap of a 1:25.905 to take the top step of the podium. For the third practice session. Vettel followed, ending up just 0.026 behind his teammate on the same tyre. Hamilton showed signs of improvement after yesterday's miserable 2 sessions. He went up into third place as well. The car has not got a lot more to give, he said after his fastest lap of the session. That's very worrying, but good news for Ferrari, and I suppose good news for us if we want to see a real show for qualifying. Bad news if you want a Brit on pole position, that is. But Lewis always finds an extra tenth or two in qualifying. Nigel Mansell said that this place will reward you a second per lap just to veer the fans. So let's just keep your fingers crossed. Fourth place driver was Pierre Gasly again, beat by teammate Max Verstappen as the Red Bull split the Mercedes. FP2 leader Bottas ending up half a second off place in 6th place as well. The top 5 were Leclerc, Vettel, Hamilton, Gasly and Verstappen. So yet again, he is giving us some really good performances coming into this weekend. So watch out for him to have a question on the matter. Am I fast enough for Formula 1? Am I fast enough for Red Bull? The clouds, however, did loom, and a little bit of light rain did interrupt the third practice session for around about 10 minutes, but a few drivers went out on intermediates, but they all decided to stay out there on slick tyres. The track dried up incredibly quickly. Lando Norris was the best of the rest again, 7th for McLaren in FP2 and 2/10 in FP3 behind Bottas as well. He spent most of the second half of FP3 on the medium tyres, switching to the softs late on for his fast lap. The Renaults followed, Hülkenberg just 0.020 ahead of 9th place Daniel Ricciardo. Alexander Albon rounded out the top 10 for Toro Rosso. Again, the midfield was close, hinted at the little bit of an exciting qualifying coming up as well. 8th place battle for Hülkenberg, and only 0.3 separated Hülkenberg in 8th to Magnussen in 15th. In the Haas, William rounded out the standings again in 19th and 20th as we expected. But Lance Stroll 17th and Sergio Perez in 18th. The clouds are with us. Silverstone's going to be fun. Let's take a look at the times from free practice 3. So Charles Leclerc tops the third practice session here at the British Grand Prix at 1:25.905. Sebastian Vettel is second on 1:25.931. Lewis Hamilton third on 1:25.954. Pierre Gasly fourth fastest at 1:26.118. Max Verstappen is 5th on a 1:26.440. Valtteri Bottas 6th on 1:26.456. Lando Norris 7th on 1:26.689. Nico Hülkenberg in 8th on a 1:26.945. Daniel Ricciardo is 9th on a 126.965, and Alexander Albon rounds out the top 10 at 126.976. Antonio Giovinazzi is 11th at 127.036, Carlos Sainz in 12th at 127.106, Danny Kvyat 13th at 127.108, that's then followed by Romain Grosjean 14th at 127.110, followed by Kevin Magnussen, his teammate, 15th at 127.275. Kimi Raikkonen 16th on a 127.424, Lance Stroll 17th on a 127.544, Sergio Perez 18th at 127.598, George Russell 19th at 129.065, and Robbie Kubica 20th at 129.450. All eyes were on Mercedes as it came to qualifying, and one driver in particular, Lewis Hamilton. Could he get another pole position at Silverstone and at the British Grand Prix? It's time to find out. Here's what happened in qualifying. So qualifying for the British Grand Prix on Saturday was absolutely fantastic. One of the best qualifyings of the year, mainly due to the unpredictable nature of the weather. Was it going to rain? Where would it rain? What part of the track would it affect? It started raining at Club Corner, then it went away, then it came back at Stowe, then it went away again. So all the time we were thinking, where is it going to come? How far is it going to come? How bad is it going to come? But still, qualifying was dramatic. Let's start, as ever, with what happened in qualifying 1 as Hamilton set the early pace as Magnussen falls out early. After the sprinkles of rain that fell during free practice 3, the first segment of qualifying got underway on a dry track, albeit under angry-looking skies, as we said just a second ago. Soft tyres were the order of the day for everyone except for Ferrari, who opted for the medium tyres. Not that you would have noticed from the times. Hamilton emerged from Q1 in P1, a new track record as well, a 1 minute 25.513. But Leclerc was only 0.02 of a second back. That's the impressive thing with the Ferrari on the medium tyres. And half a second slower they should be. 0.2, not that bad at all. Less than 0.02, sorry. Fantastic. Give me a glimpse of what Ferrari had coming in Q2. Vettel looked comfortable as well compared to his teammate, but then fell off at the end of the session. He came 5th fastest, switching to the softs midway through, but abandoning a lap when it came clear he was safe behind Verstappen and Bottas. Falling at the first hurdle, unfortunately, yet again, were our Q1 regulars of Robert Kubica, George Russell and Lance Stroll, all being eliminated from the session. 14th consecutive time for Lance Stroll as well being eliminated. Toro Rosso's Danny Kvyat also extends his 3 straight Q1 exits. Kevin Magnussen, meanwhile, took an early bath the first time since Mexico last season. Racing Point Sergio Perez saved himself at the death across the line as well. But it wasn't that. Magnussen's elimination was even a sharper context by the fact that he was quicker in Austria 2 weeks ago when he qualified in 5th. Out in qualifying 1 was Kevin Magnussen, Danny Kvyat, Lance Stroll, George Russell and Robert Kubica. On to qualifying 2 then, and his first appearance for Ferrari at the British Grand Prix. It was Charles Leclerc who put it on top in qualifying 2. As usual, all eyes were on which tyres the top contenders were going to qualify on. Whether they're going to qualify on the mediums or the softs. With the cloud above, the logical suggestion would have been to put the mediums on, as you could then get longer in the race tomorrow, which seems to be dry and with a chance of rain. But both Mercedes and Red Bulls went with the more durable mediums, as did Leclerc initially. Vettel stuck with the soft compound tyre. Very unusual for him to do so as well. So, albeit without seeing much boosting performance relative to those around him, Vettel still stuck in on the softs compounds. Leclerc set the pace for switching to the softs and improving late on, so he starts on the soft compound tyres as well. So Ferrari on the softs, Mercedes and Red Bull on the medium tyres for the race. Ferrari made their strategy clear for the race. Bottas was second quickest, also bolted on the red wall tyres late on, but abandoning his effort, starts on the mediums, along with his teammate Lewis Hamilton, third quickest in the segment, ahead of Verstappen Verstappen in 4th, and Gasly finished in 6th. At the other end of the timesheets, though, the usual battle to make Q3 cut left the two British-born rookie stars Lando Norris out of qualifying his McLaren teammate Carlos Sainz for the 7th time this season in 10 races. The Spaniard failed to reach Q3 for the 3rd year running here at Silverstone. Out then in qualifying 2, Antonio Giovinazzi, Kimi Raikkonen, Carlos Sainz, Romain Grosjean and Sergio Perez. On to qualifying 3 then, and this was the big one. The clouds begin to clear at Silverstone. Everyone was going to set a dry time. So is it going to be a new track record? We already saw that in qualifying 1, but who could beat it in Q3? Well, Bottas keeps his cool and takes the closest pole in a decade. 6 thousandths of a second separated Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton on the front row of the grid. That is the closest pole in 10 years, since 2009 when Vettel outqualified Alonso by 3 thousandths of a second. Absolutely fantastic. Over the first 2 runs, Bottas was edging faster as well. 0.25 was the gap overall. Hamilton made a clear mistake at Brooklands. Ferrari, meanwhile, were only 4th and 6th after their first runs. Leclerc admitting he made an error after trying something. He'd been a lot closer after the second runs. Bottas and Hamilton first to play their hands with the home fans on their feet as Hamilton came past in his outlap as well. He missed out by pole by just 6 thousandths of a second as he improved, but Bottas didn't, and that's why the gap is 6 thousandths of a second. Mercedes are set to hold on to their record of taking every pole position here at Silverstone since 2013. Not bad at all. France sat back and sees Leclerc was rapid, but only did purple sectors in Sector 1 and 2. Sector 3 he was down. He starts 3rd on the grid as well. An incredibly close battle for Sunday's race with the 2 Mercedes up front and Charles Leclerc just behind. The top 3 separated by less than 1/10 of a second. The closest front row in a decade and the closest top 3 in Formula 1 history since 1997 at Jerez, when the top 3 set identical lap times. We've got an incredible British Grand Prix ahead of us. Valtteri Bottas on pole position with Lewis Hamilton alongside, the Ferraris and Red Bulls chasing them down as well. It was going to be a fantastic 52 laps around Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Commentary came from the full commentary lineup alongside myself, Joshua Birch. In the commentary box we had Megan Birch and Ian Birch.
The British Grand Prix, race 10, lap 1.
We're all lined up on a former RAF base to get the 5 red lights, and when they go out, the cathedral will begin. Action at Silverstone, and Hamilton gets a great start. Bottas cuts him off in the second phase. Leclerc goes through, the 2 Red Bulls side by side, but it's Bottas leading from Hamilton second, but Hamilton stayed with him as they run down into Village. Hamilton's got a lovely run on him, tries to the outside, he'll get the toe round Aintree. Leclerc's right there to capitalise on anything that happens. Down through Aintree, through now the Wellington Straight, and Hamilton is very, very racy. Is he going to try to pull to the inside of Bottas? Bottas defends, Hamilton looks to the outside, coming into Brooklands, and then the Hamilton gets a little wiggle on as they come through Luffield for the first time. Leclerc's still there as well. Status quo at the front so far as they head round Woodcote and down towards Cops Corner for the first time. We've all got away cleanly, which is the best possible start to the British Grand Prix. But it's Bottas, Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen side by side to Danny Rick and Lando Norris. And Norris stays ahead, but Ricciardo has the inside line coming into Maggins and Beckett. Lando stays side by side. This is not a place to go side by side, but Lando keeps ahead.
Lap 2.
And already a Haas in, and that's Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen is in as well. Did they make contact on the opening lap? So this is the replay coming in through Aintree. The 2 Haas's made contact. They're side by side into Brooklands, and there's the contact between the 2 teammates. And, well, Megan, what's rule 1?
Don't hit your teammate.
What's rule 2?
Read rule 1.
Lap 4.
Look at the 2 Mercedes. They are nail-biting. The silver arrows are blasting their way to the front of the British fans. Bottas defends the inside line. Hamilton's going to get the cutback, though, coming through the loop. Oh, it's going to be down the Wellington Straight where we'll see any wheel drama coming out of Aintree now. DRS open for Hamilton. Here he comes. Bottas has to defend the inside line. Hamilton sends it round the outside. Can he hold the line? Bottas goes too deep. Hamilton cuts back right round the outside of left field. Can he get the move done? let's take a look at it. And again, I'm going to call Megan and Dad, who's alongside. Great start from Vettel, poor start from Gasly. The two Mercedes get a good launch. And there's Lando Norris saying, excuse me, son, I'm coming through to Danny Rick. They were laughing in the press conference, and now they're still laughing again. The two Mercedes, though, lightning far ahead.
Lap 11.
Here comes Verstappen right round the outside of the loop. Leclerc's there side by side. They touch wheels. It's happened again. And here comes Vettel. Vettel's got the DRS. He's going to have to defend from the 007 of Max to the outside of Brooklands, to the inside of Brooklands. Vettel trying to get past as Verstappen has to make the battle against with Leclerc. Wow.
Lap 14.
They come in together now, and it's up to the pit crews to do a really super stop. Charles Leclerc could effectively get ahead of Verstappen here. The boys can do a really super stop, and they've done so, yes! And they're side by side in the pit lane, and Verstappen is going to get out ahead of Charles Leclerc, and that was a mega pit stop. But is it an unsafe release? Reaction, you two. What do you reckon?
I think, I know about unsafe release. Unsafe release should mean that it's actually put
side by
other
side.
people in danger.
But he went wide!
did.
He went wide, and here comes, look at this, Lando Norris is involved! Verstappen went wide, Leclerc's having to defend! Leclerc's pushing Verstappen! They're nearly going to touch again this time! Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz! Norris is pitching, it's Carlos Sainz who's joining the battle now! I think Sainz is on the inside! Wow! I think you're right there, Dad. I think the unsafe release should be if it was danger, but they were alongside each other.
Lap 19.
Open up the DRS! Down the hangar straight towards Stowe! And he's going to do it! To the inside! They nearly make contact! How did they not touch there? How did they not touch there? Dad, what's your opinion on Leclerc's dangerous defending?
Well, he's driving brilliantly, I think. He looks a bit dangerous, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I noticed he's braking irregularly and things like that. But this is what we want to see. This is exciting.
Lap 20.
Yellow sector 3, and I can't see why. Oh!
Lewis will try to go long.
It's Antonio Giovinazzi, and he's beached it in the gravel trap on the entrance to the pit lane. That's going to cause a full safety car, isn't it, you two? Safety car for sure going to have to be called.
Yeah, is he alone in there?
Good point. Yes he is. It's only Grosjean that's gone down the order. Oh, look at Verstappen having to twitch. And he's beached it big time.
Giovinazzi.
He's got a puncher. He's got a right rear puncher by the look of the way that car's up at the front.
Full safety car. Safety car deployed on lap 20. Let's have a look. Oh, he's just dropped it coming in. Yeah.
And full safety car. Lewis could get a free pit stop.
And you're right there, Dad, because he's coming into the pit lane now, and he's got the room to Sebastian Vettel. 24 seconds. It's an 18-second stop here at Silverstone. So Mercedes have just been given a gift from God as they get a free pit stop and away. And of course, are Ferrari responding? Yes, Vettel pits as well. Vettel pits for the first time today. So they get a free pit stop under the safety car. Bottas might just retake second place as he's through club corner. Vettel still in the pit lane. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Oh, I don't think they were ready again. That's a very slow stop from Ferrari.
Lap 23.
Okay, first Hamilton, second Bottas, third Vettel, fourth Gasly, fifth Verstappen.
Leclerc is 6th, Sainz 7th, Norris 8th, 9th for Albon, 10th for Hülkenberg.
11th Ricciardo, 4th Perez.
12th Perez.
12th Perez, 13th Raikkonen, 14th Stroll, 15th Kvyat.
16th for Russell, 17th for Kubica, but out of the race, Giovinazzi, Grosjean and Magnussen. Hamilton backs the field up, coming into Stowe. We're ready for a restart on lap 23 of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. No overtaking until the start-finish line. Hamilton's got away with it as we come into a big lock-up from Gasly, from Verstappen, and Gasly's ahead, so we go green at Silverstone, and we've got a restart. And look at the two McLarens, they're ganging up on Charles Leclerc. Meanwhile, there's Albon to the inside of Norris. These two had a ding-dong last year in Formula 2 at the Cops corner. They're doing it again. Albon sends it up the inside of Lando Norris. Norris can defend though. The two shadows of Hulkenberg and Ricciardo are inside this battle. 4 abreast as the clouds begin to come over Silverstone. Norris into 8th, Albon 9th, Hulkenberg 10th, and Ricciardo's down there as well. And there goes the battle once again. Here comes the Force India. Hulkenberg at the inside, block up. Surely there's contact, there's a rear wing damage, and that is a problem for Sergio Perez. In the Racing Point, he's made contact with Hulkenberg, and the front wing is gone on the restart. So Racing Point, not only a great home race battle now as Leclerc sends it round the outside of Verstappen, but can't make it through. Verstappen stays into 5th.
Lap 25.
And again, here comes Leclerc. Verstappen having to defend. Leclerc pulls to the outside. Leclerc's going to send it round the outside into Vale. They touch, bang wheels. Off goes Verstappen, off goes Leclerc. They're still side by side through Club Corner. They're banging wheels. It's going to go round the outside into Abbey for the first time. And there's London Carlos Sainz as well in the battle. And Lando Norris as well. But Verstappen stays ahead of Leclerc.
Lap 36.
As all the teams will say to avoid drama, shut up and drive.
I agree with that, because here comes Leclerc right round the outside of Gasly into Verge, and he's got the move into the loop, but Gasly's going to come back in him as well. Gasly's going to have the drive to survive coming out the last corner. He's going to move it. Leclerc's got the DRS.
Did you get the last one?
He's going to pull round the outside, coming to Brooklands. Leclerc moves it to the outside, and he does like to move it to Charles Leclerc.
Lap 37.
Here comes Verstappen on Vettel. Vettel does to defend. Verstappen right round the outside of Stone Corner. Has he made the move stick? Answer yes, he does. Brilliant. And here comes Vettel back at it. They touch. They crash. Unbelievable. Into the gravel trap and Cops corner.
Shadowed something in a song lyric.
Sebastian Vettel hits the back of Max Verstappen. Verstappen nearly goes flying. But Vettel's still going as well.
Shadowed this in a song lyric. How?
Well, look what you made me do! That was fantastic! Oh, what? You can't write it! How is Verstappen still running?
Lap 52.
Lewis Hamilton into the hangar straight. We are getting ready to stand up and applaud. England are in the World Cup final of the cricket. We may be out of Wimbledon, but the summer of love is here. The British fans.
Come on, Lewis.
The British fans, stand up, applaud. 6 times the winner, Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. Fantastic! He's done it again. Fantastic!
Lewis.
And he does it with the new track record as well. A 1:27 across the line comes Vettel, who finishes 15th, just behind George Russell. Valtteri Bottas finishes in 2nd place. Mercedes are back to 1-2 winning ways, and Charles Leclerc finishes in 3rd place. Pierre Gasly, for the first time this year, finishes ahead of his teammate in what is his best race for Red Bull. But 6 times the winner at the British Grand Prix, the new undisputed King of Silverstone is Lewis Hamilton.
Next race, Germany.
So Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix then, his 6th British Grand Prix victory, making him the most successful driver not only at Silverstone, but in the history of the British Grand Prix as well. And joining me now for discussion and analysis of the race is our co-commentator who dips in and out for about, how many races have you done now, Megan? 13? Because you've done half the season already. But
she dipped in and out the pool today as well.
She did, yes. There's Dad, if you could just turn up his mic. And hello, Dad, how are you? You all good?
I'm all right.
Hello, Megan. Are you all right? First time back on the podcast, back again. Are you all right?
Yeah, so I want to go back in the pool.
Yes, we've all been having a nice few weeks off in the lovely heat. On the day that Boris Johnson became Prime Minister, we reflect back on the British Grand Prix that happened, about 2 weeks ago now for us? Megan, you've got the list. You've got the list there that you wrote during the race when we were in the commentary box together. And you can tell us exactly what happened in that race. So if you want to read out the first point that you put down in the race, and we'll discuss that.
Dramatic start between Hamilton and Bottas.
And that really set the key for the first few laps, didn't it, Dad? Bottas
Lap
and Hamilton.
5.
Yeah.
Lap 5 was the start of such a great tussle between. Toto must have been having a heart attack.
Well, we were in the commentary box just watching it, weren't we? I mean, it was from the get-go, as Megan said, the start was amazing. And Bottas v Hamilton.
Well, it was a clean
Yeah.
start, wasn't it?
It was
I mean,
clean,
there was,
yeah.
the first 2 laps, there was hardly anything going on apart from I don't know.
The Haas cars had a
the
bit of
Haas
it, yeah.
cars.
They had a bit of a ding-dong, and we'll get onto that when Megan's got down to the list. But Bottas and Hamilton...
I mean,
think,
who buys that stuff, Rich?
Yeah. We've got 3 cans of it upstairs in the commentary box. Well, not one. Well, yeah, we've got 3 cans of it, haven't we, of Rich Energy? It arrived quicker than expected, which is surprising considering that...
Wasn't it supposed to arrive today?
Yes, it was actually supposed to arrive today. It's arrived quicker than expected. But both of you, that sort of set the tone now for the rest of the season, hasn't it? Hamilton is quicker than Bottas. He's beaten now in the race. He's 39 points clear in the championship. It's game over, isn't it, with that British Grand Prix win?
Lewis has got that ability to think instinctively.
Yeah.
And when he ignored the calls to come in,
Yes, he ignored
He won
the
that
pit
race.
calls. Yeah, we were discussing that in the commentary as well. And you were bringing up as well. They pitted Bottas in the end because Lewis was just refusing to come in as well. And with it, he got the fastest lap of the race.
I believe that actually what was said was that Valtteri needed to ask to come in.
Yeah.
And so the first time Lewis was told to go round, and then that lost 2 laps, and then he decided, I'm not coming in. Because
Yeah.
I'll lose if I come in.
And it was the right
It'd
decision.
be a few years ago all over again.
Oh, when was that? Like 2015, wasn't it, when he came in and lost the race in the end of it? And 17, he lost it as well. But it is a bit... It's a bit of a thing that Lewis has now become the sort of driver that is comfortable with his own car. He knows where he can and cannot push. But the team, it's got to the point now where the team don't know what to do. How do you handle Lewis Hamilton? He's a 5-time champion on his way to
Why do you
becoming a
need to
6th.
handle him?
Exactly, but how does the team rail him in?
Lewis is fantastic.
But he ignored a team order. So as Lewis now taken over the team, that's the question as people
He's
are
the
raising.
last cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
And if he feels that is wrong, then they should respect his vast experience.
Yeah, 5-time champion.
To be
Megan?
honest, it's not exactly like the team of winning the race. I mean, it's a driver that's doing all the work.
Well, yeah, but the team are
I mean,
a
look at-
massive part.
look
you
at-
know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but they just like, come in!
Oh, that's Bono, his race engineer, yeah.
Yeah, though, if I was Lewis, I'd just be like, to be honest, I'm the one in the car. I'll tell you when I want to come in.
That's what he did during the race. Well, you were in the commentary box with me because you were at race control down and Megan was alongside me in the
If
commentary
only
box.
Ferrari thought for themselves.
Yeah, Ferrari have had a nightmare, especially Austria.
Team orders.
Vettel's trying too hard.
Vettel is trying too hard. Where did he come in the race? You've got the results down there, Megan. 16th place, and we'll get on to his disastrous race.
anybody-
15th.
Oh, sorry, 16th with penalties.
Yeah, because he was
10
I
second
have
penalty.
out.
Yeah,
After he got
No,
after
that's
he
with
made his
penalties.
mistake.
yeah. Go on, Dad.
You've got them, so.
3 mics, by the way, everybody. So this is going to be like one of our commentaries.
I'm
Over to you,
pretty
Dad.
sure Josh was wrong.
After his mistake, what lap was it on, Megan?
Yeah, because you've got the nose. When did he hit Verstappen?
Oh, good to know. I actually put laps next to all the quotes. So.
Yeah. So when did 15 to go? So 40, 30 something or other.
Shh, brain thinking.
Yeah. So while Megan brains thinks, Dad, Vettel, another
Lap
shot.
39.
Lap 39. Thank you. He went for the move on Verstappen.
And that
He
shouldn't
got
have
the
didn't
been
work.
penalty
back, 'cause
2 laps later.
Yeah, 10-second penalty for ramming into the back of Verstappen. He went for the move on Verstappen, mistook his braking, and off into the gravel. Ben Edwards, because we just watched that bit, said another Vettel mistake. It is. Vettel's not the performance he once was. And you were going to say something, Dad. It's over to you.
I was just going to. I'm looking at the podium now, and Jack Aitken,
Yeah.
won in
Formula
F2.
2. Yep. Congratulations,
Right, so
Jack.
it was a good day for Brits.
It was a really good day. Really,
British
really
Grand
good day.
Prix, 2 British winners.
Yeah, and shame we couldn't make it 3 in Formula 3 either. But
Well, there's not
there
a
isn't
lot
that
of our
much,
drivers.
yeah.
Nearly all our current crop have gone up
to the next, to
to
the
the
feeder.
next things. but we've got a good crop behind them.
And they're coming up in Formula 4 as well. Megan, you've got...
Where's Megan's quotes?
Yeah, Megan, you've got your list. So what was after the Bottas
Let's
stuff?
discuss your quotes, Meg.
So what was next?
Bottas leads still, lap 7.
Yeah?
Magnussen out, lap 9.
Now, that was a key thing at the start because after...
They touched.
They did. They touched front wheel to rear wheel, broke the suspension on Magnussen and Grosjean's car, front suspension, rear suspension, and out of the race. Now, Rich Energy, their title sponsor, we were talking about it in the pre-show on Thursday. Then we got the cans of Rich Energy and that lot after. But we were talking about it. Rich Energy, their title sponsor, put out a statement that they've withdrawn their sponsorship agreement.
Which they don't need.
Which they don't need, yeah.
Because Gene Haas is
Yeah.
a billionaire.
So he can fund the team himself, as we said on Thursday. But it was announced that that withdrawal is not valid. So over the weekend, it was sort of a Twitter abuse from the official Rich Energy Twitter account, which is run by its company founder and the chairman, which we can't go into too much legal difficulties with that, but it's run by him. And he put, after they touched, he put in a picture, "Great job, boys," and a Haas livery with the Rich Energy stuff as a milk float. So the reason that he put out the angry tweet saying withdrawn is because they were slower than Williams in the Austrian Grand Prix. That's only because Magnussen got that penalty. But then Haas touch at the very next race. And it's an interesting point because I was rewatching the Netflix series Drive to Survive. It was Grosjean's fault, that crash. So I've seen Gunter Steiner already want to get rid of Grosjean. He makes too much. He said he makes too many bleeping mistakes. And after his mistake in France last year, he's angry. Same with Vettel, yeah.
The thing is that Kevin will drive his race. And if Grosjean gets in the way, just because he's his teammate, it doesn't make any difference.
No.
Kevin's just like his father. He's an aggressive driver. But he's really, I think he races just on the limit. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way Kevin races. And I think it brings a bit of excitement at the back.
It does.
But having said that, right, I see a parallel between Grosjean and Vettel in that they're both worried about the youngsters that are coming through, being older members of the grid. And instead of people like Raikkonen and Lewis who just get on with it,
they can.
Right, they are feeling their age, and that's a shame because Grosjean's a better driver than what he's been driving.
Oh yeah,
he was tipped for Ferrari just 3 years ago.
Yeah, and he only didn't go there because he got the deal from Haas, because Haas came in.
Who were Haas
Ferrari's beat
Ferrari
him,
juniors. And I mean, the Ferrari, what you have to realise is that we were talking about F3.
Yeah.
Right? F3 and
F2
have a large contingent, like John Alesi's son and people like that.
Giovanni Alesi, yeah.
Yeah, of Ferrari Academy drivers.
And they can easily just be put in,
Whereas Mercedes had an abundance of junior drivers and Red Bull had an abundance of junior drivers coming up through the ranks a couple of years ago. The Ferrari Academy is doing the best out of the 3 or 4 academies.
Oh yeah, we got the Honda Academy, we got the Red Bull Academy, we got the Ferrari Academy and the Renault Academy, all coming up as well.
Yeah, and then we in Britain we have the
is it the BRDC?
The BRDC.
BRDCs, yeah. But I want to ask you both a question. So Megan as well, and Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen have had a difficult year this so far. Magnussen has scored points. Grosjean is yet to score points.
So it still wasn't his race because next thing on my notes is Grosjean out.
Yeah, they both had a DNF. Which driver is going to get the boot? Because it's going to happen. One of these two drivers is going to get the boot. For me personally, I think it might be Grosjean. Who do you two think might?
Well, Kevin's doing nothing wrong.
Exactly. So I think
Kevin's
it's Grosjean.
Just an aggressive driver.
Yeah.
Right. Leclerc is an aggressive driver.
But
you know,
we haven't
Valtteri
seen
Bottas is an aggressive driver.
I think Magnussen.
Why do you think Magnussen?
I don't know. I just have a good feeling. If
Well, Magnussen
either one of them was to go, it would be him.
does make more sense because Grosjean has survived other teammates leaving him. Gutierrez left him, and then Magnussen stayed
I
there.
personally don't think either of them will go.
You don't think any of them go?
No, because they
No.
need the stability. I think the problem is at the moment at Haas,
If either
is
were to
that
leave,
they're
it would
all
be
off
by
the ball,
choice.
and I mean all of them.
They are.
Right?
But
And,
Haas
you know,
completely off the ball.
They did it last year. They made some wheel mistakes last year.
Oh yeah, they were dreadful, those mistakes.
And I just get this feeling that unless Gene Haas is there cracking the whip,
Mm.
they haven't got their eye on the ball all the time, which surprises me because Gunter is, as you see in the documentary,
Yeah,
he's
experienced.
not an easy man
No,
to cross. Right, he tells it as it is.
he's
Which
been in the
is
sport a long
Basically,
time.
you know,
Mm.
whereas Christian can be a hard man, but most of the time he's got his arm around him. He leaves it to Dr. Marco to things.
Yeah.
And Toto is just right.
Toto's
He
very
has that
much.
stare.
Yeah.
If you've done something wrong, you don't have to tell them in public. He just thinks
You already know you've done something when Toto's there.
there are certain
You
fiery
want to drive
Frenchmen.
away and never come back.
Yeah, which one? Yeah, Sam
Certain
Frenchman.
fiery Frenchman
Oh,
who
yes.
run Renault.
Yes.
But he seems more relaxed. He was more relaxed. Than the British Grand Prix.
Yes.
Actually, too relaxed.
He
For him.
did seem a bit off, didn't he? He was way too relaxed. And usually he's darting around the paddock, doing this and that. He was
sat on a
enjoying
chair
himself.
with his leg on the table.
Yeah.
Actually,
And that was that. I think I was in the.
I think he had his foot on the table,
Yeah.
didn't he?
It was a very interesting post-race for us, wasn't it? Just because that was on the notebook, wasn't it? It was a very interesting post-race because we were all watching the cricket and the tennis. Well done, actually, too. The English cricket team as well for the first ever World Cup. We were watching that, and we're not fans of cricket, but that was a great game.
I've never liked cricket because it's too slow and boring. But that is
Yeah.
how you can change a sport.
Mm.
You know, the present one-day game becomes very exciting towards the end.
And you've brought me in perfectly to what my next point was going to be, was the fact is that Formula One, we all said, oh, it needs to change after the boring French Grand Prix. We had a great Austrian Grand Prix. Now we've had a great British Grand
I
Prix.
mean, it's changing itself.
Yeah, it's changing
And
itself.
You see, there's a lot of money tied up in these things, isn't there, Meg?
Yeah. Yeah, Megan's nodding as there's a fly hanging around.
Well,
What?
there is a lot of money in these things.
There's a lot of
And-
money and,
and-
a lot
and
of high power.
The
and
reason there's
yeah.
a lot of money is because there's a lot of people who watch it throughout the world. And if you allow it to become boring, then
Switch off.
the money will start to dry up.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen with other TV companies. NBC left the sport because they didn't want to compete with Formula One developing its own. So viewership in the United States was at its high. Now it's moved to ESPN. It's at an all-time low. And the same's happening in the UK because of Sky's deal versus Channel 4. We've got the
Or
we've
people
got
just don't know what channel it's on anymore.
yeah, that's a good point actually. What
Yeah, but
channel is
there's
it on? Because it does fluctuate a
The
lot.
3 European countries that it is
Yeah,
on 2 channels, I think the viewing figures are doing pretty well in those countries.
it's
apart-
great in Italy. It's great in Germany.
Yeah, and you know, places like the Netherlands now and France. Are
Oh, they've
coming back
boomed
up.
since Verstappen.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got to have interest. I mean, for ages there wasn't a French driver.
No, there wasn't, was there?
Grosjean came back. I think Grosjean. It was before Grosjean.
Truly's Italian, isn't he? So who was before?
I can't remember the French. driver.
Panis? Is it Panis? Must have been Olivier
It must
Panis.
have been Olivier Panis.
Someone will comment
And
there.
that was about 7 years before. Wasn't
Yeah,
it? 5,
Panis
6
was-
at least.
Oh, hang on. You really French Grand Prix driver
I like
Panis.
testing them.
I'm sure
Prost.
if we go down to Ancestry, we'll find one.
Yeah, I think it was Olivier Panis.
Ancestry.com to find the French
Yeah,
drivers.
I swear. it
Even
was-
if we go to our
The
Ancestry, we'll
French
find
driver,
French.
I mean, Gasly had his best race.
Sebastian Bourdais. Is he
Bourdais.
French? He's French, isn't he?
Probably.
Yeah.
Buenim is Swiss.
Yeah. I think Bourdais French.
Bourdais might be French.
Yeah, it was someone who was at Toro Rosso.
Vern.
French. Yeah.
Vern.
Should we just?
Going through the,
I'm
going
just
through
hearing
the,
Vern.
You keep
My,
thinking
yeah.
of.
drivers to find a Frenchman.
Yeah, you need to go. You need to go to Formula
But
E.
they came after Grosjean.
I'm hearing
Yeah,
Shouting
Vern
There was a
Vern was
big
2011. It was
I mean,
Grosjean,
Elf.
2009.
Elf pulled out of Formula One, didn't they?
Yep. The
Yeah.
Renault suppliers.
The
Yeah.
the big oil company in France.
Yeah, they pulled out in about
And
2006.
you've got to give Grosjean his due. I mean, he resurrected it, really, didn't he?
Yeah,
Because they've had
yeah,
such a big past. I mean, Prost, one of the greatest drivers ever.
4-time world champion. As we see, the current Monegasque driver, who's technically French as well.
Yeah, we can see the podium at the moment. They're all coming on the podium.
Yeah, which will give us Megan will talk us through who was actually in the podium in a minute.
Yeah,
I colour coded my notes.
Yes,
well, one of Dave Richards up there with Sajaki.
BAR, of course. He founded and ran BAR,
And
British
certain,
American
a
Racing.
certain Mr. Chris Grayling who asked to be taken
Yes.
away from government today.
Oh yes, of course. We had a lot of
As if he
reshuffling in the
asked.
cabinet.
As if he
He
asked.
gone, he went. He was again. He was.
knew if he
He's for the other one, Jeremy
he,
Hunt.
He might have support. No, I'm sure
Well, a lot of them
Politics-
have gone. Yeah.
politics is my
Look.
thing. I'm sure you'll find that Grayling was a Boris supporter.
Ah. Oh, I wonder why he's gone
Um,
then. Are you sure he didn't
because
ask?
he's an idiot.
Yes.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Nah, we're
but
fine. What?
Everyone else does. so I
Political
didn't.
broadcaster.
Yes.
ITV
It's my
have got away with it.
opinion- It's my
Yeah.
opinion that he's been a very, very poor transport minister. As
Piers
someone who lives in
Morgan
the north,
gets
Yeah.
away with it.
right, and the trains in the north need help, and yet they've got this silly HS2 that's gonna
Yeah.
make it 34 minutes faster to get to Birmingham.
I don't think people.
But my
Yeah.
daughter goes to Birmingham 3 times a week from Nottingham. Oh, wrong side. It won't
Yeah.
affect her. No, because
It
Nottingham
affects
is
her.
north of Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's as if everything they've got a Birmingham. This is becoming political.
Yeah.
I
got a
perfectly
It's
It's
understand.
the British Grand
The
Prix.
mayor of Birmingham's conservative,
Yeah.
right? They lost the north to people like Andy Burnham, who's great. you
Yeah.
know. Andy Burnham's brilliant.
Don't worry about what
What's
you
your
said.
man?
If James Hunt can get away with saying far worse about Didier Pironi and I'm sure and
And
Jarier,
Stuart Tartan trousers on Sajaki on the podium.
Jackie, I don't think I've ever seen Sir Jackie without tartan colours ever. I've not even with his race suit because he had it down the
He's
and
a
his
proud
helmet as
Scot.
well.
I've never seen him without very tweedy trousers.
Well, that's
That's
tartan.
their
The
trousers,
tartan
though.
tweed trousers, yeah. But
Never
it's like
seen him
it's
without
like
tartan.
Nicky. You never saw Nicky without a red cap. It's that. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I
Which,
could, yeah.
Nick Hamilton had a red Ferrari hat on.
Yes, British touring car driver now, of course, and Nick Hamilton and brother of Lewis. And we also cover the British
'Cause
touring
they-
cars.
There was also we're forgetting Charlie.
Yes,
His son started the race.
I don't think I ever
I
saw him without a white shirt on.
Charlie, no, I didn't. And I saw him in Spain, and I didn't see him without white shirts on. I stood outside his office actually.
His son started the race, and it was a nice thing to do. And he high-fived the
Yeah.
guy that was with him, who he's obviously known this guy years.
Yeah,
Right,
I
and
found
they're
that
obviously very
touching.
close, and like he started the race really well,
And
and high-fived the things.
he did it
Yeah.
because usually what happens when the lights come on is that as soon as the button is pressed, the light. What's that? Megan's singing the podium theme because the podium's just happened. You can't do that.
On our TV.
Yeah, obviously, because we're doing this after, but we've replayed the race. So yeah, when you start the race, you press the button and then it's a computer sequence. So it's 1 light, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there's a manual pause of anywhere between 3 to 7 seconds. And in any of that time, the lights can go out. But as Ted Kravitz said, and I thought the lights were on a little bit longer, it was actually Charlie's son who was in control of when the lights went out. So the computer went on, all the lights came on, and it was Charlie's son who actually pressed the button for the lights to go out. He actually started the race, and I love that because that's how it was originally done. I found that was really nice, and when we cut to that shot of him at the start of the race, it was lovely to say that a Whiting started the British Grand Prix.
I think
And
a
It's
Whiting
nice.
will always
It's
drive.
on the
Grand
podium
Prix.
now. They're just doing they've done the champagne and that, but
Yeah,
they've got the cup. Right?
that famous
The only
solid gold
cup-
trophy. Yeah,
The only cup that the actual trophy for the driver is
Yeah, it's-
behind and never gets seen. It's the bigger version of the other two, isn't it?
yeah,
But,
it's the bigger one.
but
Who
because
actually
it's
started
the
the
only
first Grand
trophy that is presented
Yeah,
as a tradition, and it's the gold trophy, and it goes back to the BRDC within
yeah, with
10 minutes, 15 minutes of it.
Oh,
and your name gets
Same
engraved.
shirt.
Oh yeah, Eddie and me are wearing the same shirt. Well, that just proves it, doesn't it? I'm not going to start talking like Eddie. I've already started doing features like Eddie Jordan, so let's avoid that. But yeah, I do love the British Grand Prix trophy. It's the only trophy that is actually the original from what it was.
This is how you know I've
'cause-
always been watching Formula One. Eddie's in part of one of my first memories.
Well, yeah, Eddie was there for years. Just quickly, yeah, that trophy is the same as it was because the Drivers' Championship got changed in the 90s, so that trophy is different. That British Grand Prix has been around for decades, and that is what I love about it because every name is on it.
Tradition, isn't it?
Yeah, David Coulthard's name's
It's
on it
'cause us
twice.
Brits do things like that really well.
Megan.
Who actually started the first Grand Prix?
Oh. I know that it was
The bloke with
Giuseppe.
the flag.
Yeah, the bloke with the flag because there was no lights in those days. 1950.
Giuseppe Farina won in
The Alfa Romeo
Have you looked it
155.
up?
155.
Sorry, Mum.
Have you looked it up? See,
Megan's got
Alfa
Megan did it.
Romeo 158 Alfetta.
This is because Megan did a
Speaking test.
about it. This is the reason you missed the Austrian Grand Prix. We must admit,
Yes.
she had an English it was a speaking
I
exam.
was the only person in my entire class, or I actually think year group, that for 5 minutes of speaking and question time.
What a surprise,
when
Megan!
she was 8
You
years
can do
old,
it. Oh, dear.
and in primary school,
We did a commentary.
their homework was to film
God,
themselves doing
yes.
something that they like to do.
Yeah,
So she filmed herself
doing the commentary.
commentating on British touring cars. and
That
took
was
it in.
weird. That was odd.
And in the end, she was the only person in the class who'd actually done their homework.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember that race actually because you used to cover the touring cars with me. For those who don't know, Megan did Formula One.
The whole entire class listened to it as well.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Megan did Formula One with me. Then she took a break from F1, and then we did British touring cars and MotoGP together.
Nothing compared to Formula.
And then you came back to Formula One when we started the whole broadcasting
Megan
stuff in
might come
2015.
across as someone who's a bit
One,
shy and
yeah,
quiet, but she's more like Billy Munger's sister than
Bonnie,
than-
yeah.
She's like Bonnie, little Bonnie Munger, and she can be very outspoken. at
I already
what she-
am. It's my
Yeah,
personality.
She is.
Right.
Why not?
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to really hurry because my
I think
laptop.
Brill, and I think Bonnie's Brill as well.
I can't wait to see Billy back at the Grand Prix.
What Bonnie did
This
for
week.
Billy when Billy had his crash
Yeah,
was
yeah.
fantastic. She knelt there with him while he was in the car, and she went all the way through. She's just one of those. She's one of those lifer than
Yeah,
big life, full of life people. Is Bonnie Munger,
and they've been having a lot of fun this weekend actually because
and he's got
Billy's
good
racing.
parents as well.
Yeah, you've seen the documentary, haven't you?
I've seen that Billy Munger's documentary.
I've seen half of it. It's
If-
that I've frozen. I need to take two takes.
If that doesn't make you feel like you want to cry,
I know.
then I don't know what would.
I'll tell you one thing though. I was speaking to Mum earlier on about this actually
It
because I
takes a lot for me to cry.
well, hang on. I already know this because I was watching. We've really got to hurry up because my laptop's on 20%. It's the thing we're going to record on. So we'll just say quickly. I was watching the Netflix F1 series with the Drive to Survive, and they did an episode on
I remember
Charles Leclerc and Jules Bianchi. And Leclerc said that it was always Jules' dream to drive for Ferrari. I want that dream so we can do it. We can have the legacy together.
Charles did
yeah.
Charles did something recently that I didn't know. He the French
Yes.
watched it, but he said yes, it is I, Leclerc
Yes. The hello.
from Hello.
I love it when he's twigged on to that now. But I
Mind you, like a lot
yeah.
of them, he spent a lot of time in England. He's probably picked it up.
yeah, and I know that. Do you remember Bahrain when he had that engine failure, I was nearly close to tears. I had to have a minute in the commentary box and just sit down and think, okay, it's not going to be today. You had to take over the commentary, actually, Dad, because you were
I'm
there.
not going to be two-faced because I want Lewis to win every race.
Oh,
so
yeah, but
I was.
well, Lewis took over the lead, didn't he? Oh, sorry, Megan, you have to say again.
I
He'll
think
win
if
one
he-
day and he'll win loads.
I think if he wins every race,
Lads
it'll
and
get a
lads
bit
and lads.
boring.
Three
no, he'll
mics.
win lads and lads and lads.
I think it'll get boring.
Yeah, if you win. But I know that when Leclerc eventually wins a race, I will be sobbing. I know it. I
Will
just
there be
know
more
it.
rain on the track than there was at Iowa this weekend?
Oh, Iowa was 4-hour delay. Well, it is going
That
to be
was
wet.
brilliant. It was what we used to call when I was a kid a cloud burst.
Yeah, it was fantastic
Right,
watching that.
there was a big, massive thunderstorm came over the track
I love thunderstorms.
in the IndyCar, and it just pelted it down.
Yeah.
If you're any Geordies listening, it was pluting down.
Right, we've really got to hurry up now. So,
it was pouring it.
Megan, can you quickly
Pluton.
please... could you quickly please read down the rest of your list and anything that we want to talk about? Well, one of us will pick it up.
Okay.
Go on.
Albon and Norris under investigation, lap 18.
That was for their incident that they had on
Yeah.
the track. You heard
no
that in the commentary.
further action between
No point, was
Norris
there?
and Albon. Lap 19. Yellow.
There's a fly, by the way. So
Sector 3 Giovinazzi gone off.
That-
Safety car deployed.
that
lap
was-
20.
hang on a sec. That was crucial because it gave everyone a free pit stop. You called it in the commentary box. I think everyone but Russell came in, didn't they, Megan?
That fly has just flown
Yes.
through our fan
It's on me now.
and lost its wings, and now he's a walk.
It's on me now.
Get
I
it?
think it actually survived.
Anybody get that?
I
joke?
got it, and now a walk instead of a flight. It's on the curtain actually next to you. So, Megan,
Jeez, that fly is resilient.
so just quickly,
No
yeah,
flies were harmed in the making of this documentary.
no flies on the Roman. Just quickly, just quickly,
That was a joke, by the way.
just quickly. Everyone pitted,
The
but
fly is still here.
yes, it's still there. It's all fine. Everyone pitted, but George Russell. So that safety car gave a free pit stop to Hamilton and Bottas and Vettel.
I actually have that down. Everyone pits but Russell.
I thought they did, yeah. But what was interesting was the fact that Leclerc, again, chose the hard tyres that were scrubbed, that he did the lap to on the grid. So
He just prefers them.
I know you haven't been in the commentary box for a lot of races, but me and you, Dad, we've
Yeah, but he
noticed
always
likes
does.
it. Yeah,
He always
likes
does.
it.
In the last few races, if you notice, when he likes a bit of grip, he
Yeah.
doesn't want a lot of wheel spin, and so he gets this nice new shiny surface that they've put on the tyres to distinguish whether they're scrubbed or not.
Yeah. It's helping
he
us.
don't like it.
No.
He
and
really don't.
helping us in the commentary box, though, because we've picked up on that. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does at Hockenheim if it's a dry race. Continue with your list, Megan.
Safety car comes back in lap 24. Yellow sector 2. Marshall collects debris. Lap 27.
British Marshals, best in the world. Just saying. Absolute
Verstappen
best.
hit by Vettel under investigation. Lap 39.
We talked about this earlier on as well. Vettel's move against Verstappen, completely Vettel's fault. How many more mistakes is he going to make this season? I think he's going to make at least 5. And we're going to the place where he lost the championship last year in
6.
Germany next. What do you think, Dad? I know you've.
I think until he learns to calm down. I mean, it's not as if he is one of these people that doesn't have a nice settled life. You know,
he's very much
the
Yeah.
guy.
married now.
He's married, 2 kids,
Who is?
and he's got an amazingly hobby that keeps him on his own in the garage,
Yes.
mending motorbikes. You know, he's got a scooter at the moment. He's doing up.
Yes.
Oh, we're talking about Vettel.
Yes, Vettel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I tuned
you
out.
know, when they first moved to Switzerland, didn't he used to
He's in
go
Switzerland.
home even if he's
Yes.
won a Grand Prix, go home and find relaxation by getting his sit-on lawnmower out and
Yeah, just going round.
mowing the grass.
Max Chilton also likes doing that as well. Every racing driver I know at least
Well,
likes
that's
doing
'cause
that.
I can imagine what he's imagining when grass is.
Max Chilton's a bit like his brother in British touring cars.
Tom, yeah.
Tends to go on the grass a lot.
Yeah, Tom does, doesn't he? I've noticed that a lot. He did it a lot the last race at Alton. Megan, continue with your list. I think we've lost track of what we're saying. I can't remember.
No, we need to wrap this up.
Yeah. Continue, Megan.
Vettel 10-second time penalty causing a collision with Verstappen.
And
That's
that
the
is the
fourth
only
one.
Vettel penalty this year I agree with. That's the only one I agree with.
Same.
And I think that's agreeing. Go
I
on,
don't
Megan.
think he'll be the last, but
It definitely won't be.
Go on,
Definitely won't be.
That's
the
it.
next bit.
Oh, is
That's
that
it.
it? Oh,
Right, can we look? I want to say about Sainz.
go on.
I think I
Right.
forgot to mention
Sainz and
Giovinazzi. as well.
Kvyat
Yeah, we
did
know that. mate.
amazing in this Grand Prix.
Carlos Sainz.
Sainz
Fantastic.
got a McLaren
I didn't hear him all.
7 places further up the grid,
Yeah.
and he wasn't even the best driver of the day.
No,
right.
that was Charles Leclerc. 20%
Whereas
of the
Vettel
vote.
was the driver that fell down the
The
most
most.
by nine spots.
Yeah.
Right from the start of the race.
I can confirm.
Mr. PK's son-in-law,
Danny
elect,
Kvyat. Yes.
Daniel.
Wow.
Wow, what a great race for Daniel Kvyat.
Where did he start? 17th on the grid? Up to-
17th on the
yeah.
grid or 18th on the grid, and he finished 9th.
And
8
points.
places. He beat Sainz, who was 7 places up.
Yeah.
Vettel was the big loser. He went down 9 places. And Stroll and Russell.
Not as big as the loser of Maxson.
Stroll and Russell went 5 places up the grid.
Yeah.
Or
That's
right?
that's
We had
impressive
3
from them.
We had 3. Well, they were helped by the fact that
Yeah, we had a lot
3 of them didn't finish.
Yeah.
In the two Haas and Giovinazzi,
Yeah, as you said, Megan, he was out.
Yeah.
or as we know Joe.
He was the last one to
Giovinazzi,
be
yeah.
out.
Joe.
I think
It was
yeah.
a shame about Norris. It was the final acts of the Grand Prix. He was running in 8th, and things like the safety car and things like that put him down. He was pitted at the wrong time. But what a great race
Great race from both of the
from,
McLarens.
from both of the McLarens.
I honestly think they're the story of the year.
Raikkonen, he did well.
Yeah.
Ricciardo and Leclerc, they were the only 2 that finished where they started.
In a crazy
in
race.
3rd and 7th.
Yeah.
And Danny Rick's got a few things on his mind at the moment. 10 million
Yeah.
things.
Yes, I'm glad you picked up on that. His manager suing him for 10 million because he didn't
Because
get
of
the
his
20%.
his
Yeah.
cut of the things, but he's left that management.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out. We will be discussing that further
that's
next. Yeah. Yeah.
Renault will sort that out.
Easy peasy. Megan is saying that about the podium now because we have got a wrap up time.
Yeah, Maggie?
Oh no, she's all right with what she's saying. Right, Dad. Interesting race. Hamilton was the victor, obviously. So, because it's the first time we've had both of you on the podcast at the same time, this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting. Because usually we have either Dad or Megan, one of the two, and they will give us the driver rating out of 5. But because it's the first time that they've joined me both, it's going to be the British Grand Prix, which is a double point event, which means the fact that Dad will give his rating on one driver out of 5, and Megan will give her rating of a driver out of 5 as we watch Hamilton cross the line. So, what, Dad?
Do we have to?
Yes.
She's going mad here.
Yeah, Megan's going mad. I don't know why. Why are you going mad? I think
I
that
can do his first.
I think this.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
need to go
you.
to my first.
Okay, Megan dies off because I think she's got a fly down the back of her top.
No, she
Oh, she hasn't. Oh well, she's doing something at the side of the commentary booth.
It's a fly, not an explorer.
Right. Okay then, Dad. You've got the race
Megan
results.
has long curly hair.
Oh yeah, she does. And as you see it, I tell her she's River Song with the hair she's got from.
I'll
from
tell you
Doctor
what
Who.
she's like at a hairdresser's as soon as she actually has a haircut.
Yeah, she's never had a
She's
haircut.
never had a haircut.
And you, everybody doesn't tell. Everybody can't tell. It's unusual hair. It's also very hard to manage. So, Dad, we'll go through first your list. Until Megan comes back.
Hurry up.
Right, you've got the list there, as Norris moved up to 11th, actually, in the end, with penalties.
Well, with penalties, that's yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so over to you. So, Lewis Hamilton, winner of the British Grand Prix for the 6th time. Your rating out of 5, please, Dad.
Lewis, 5 out of 5.
Not a surprise. Valtteri Bottas in 2nd place then for Mercedes.
4,
Charles Leclerc 3rd.
5,
Pierre Gasly finished 4th.
7.
Oh, wow. That's high. Yeah, I agree with that. It's the first time this
No,
year.
5.
All right, 5.
5-star.
Have you done 006 because it's 007? When's
Down,
that done?
down.
That's the first time this year Gasly's finished ahead of Verstappen. Fantastic for
Yeah.
Gasly. Max Verstappen finished in 5th place, just behind his teammate. Your rating?
I think Max did well again. I go
Yeah.
for 4. It was a very just like Austria. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Sainz is 5.
Yeah, Sainz is in 6th place as well, so that's 5 for you. Great race for him. Danny Ricciardo finished in 7th place as well. Your rating?
3.
Next up, Kimi Raikkonen in 8th place. Your rating?
4.
Who's next on the list? Nico Hülkenberg is 10th, wrapping up the points.
What about Kvyat?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I knew I missed someone. Danny Kvyat in 9th place.
9th, 5.
And Nico Hülkenberg rounding out the top 10.
3.
Lando Norris 11th.
5.
12th for Alexander Albon.
4.
Lance Stroll finished in 13th.
2.
George Russell 14th.
3.
Robert Kubica 15th.
What about Vettel?
No, a penalty applied.
Penalty applied. Robert Kubica, 3.
And now, Sebastian Vettel.
What about Perez?
Penalty applied. It puts him behind. Slots him because Perez also
Perez,
got it.
2.
And
And
Vettel. Yeah.
1.
Retiring as well.
I'll give
Yeah.
him 2. I'll tell you why. Because he was trying, but he was over trying.
Definitely, and that's what he's suffering
But
with this year.
I've given him a low mark because
Yeah.
he's clearly a lot better than that.
We've got to do the retirements, unfortunately. So Giovinazzi, until he went out spinning in the gravel trap, got to give him a rating.
3.
Grosjean
He did pretty well up till
He
then.
did. He was going well.
Maybe he caused the safety car.
So he gave us some excitement, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Grosjean and Magnussen.
1.
Yeah.
1.
I agree. Megan's
How can you rate someone who doesn't?
first lap, yeah.
The only good thing for Gene Haas in that race was the fact that they could siphon the fuel out.
Yeah. They had the fuel to give back. They definitely weren't underway with the penalty. Megan rejoins us now. Hello, Megan. You all right, dear?
Not really.
Well, Megan has been in the pool more than me today, and there was the one point that we reenacted 2011 Monaco when everybody
And
went in
also
the pool.
I thought she-
Star Trek Dark Frontier.
Yeah, that was fun. I got a hose pipe on her.
Star Trek.
I got a hose pipe on her and said, assimilate. And I squeezed her with the bloody
Oh yeah,
hose pipe.
I
and bang, bang.
fired.
It was revenge for yesterday, and we will be showing why it was revenge in our Thursday preview show.
I fired photon torpedoes
Which was
that went,
water
then went to
bottles.
Transwarp.
Yeah, water bottles, and then it was things. Go on, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the best Star Trek captain was from the North,
That was Picard.
Picard. Ow.
And he's back.
I think the best
I do not
is
know what you mean.
Janeway.
8% left.
Romulan.
Quick thoughts. All right, just quickly.
That's a good one for
Yeah.
a new film, isn't it?
I
I'm a
wish
Romulan.
Janeway could come back.
Picard.
Romulan and the Borg. Yeah, that's looking good. Star Trek's looking good, and
She
we
went
we're
with
all big
both
fans
of
of it.
We are the Borg.
Megan,
It'll be a
we've
similar-
got 2 minutes
It's-
left
it's
until
return.
my laptop will close, so we've got to really hurry this up. Megan, quickly. Right, let's go through the list. You've got the results there, haven't you?
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to list out the names and you're going to tell.
Do it quick.
Hamilton,
5,
Bottas,
5,
Leclerc,
5,
Gasly,
4,
Verstappen,
3,
Sainz,
4,
Ricciardo,
4. Because he didn't get out.
Raikkonen,
3,
Kvyat,
4,
Hülkenberg,
5,
Lando,
4,
Albon,
4,
Stroll,
4,
Russell,
5,
Kubica,
3,
Vettel,
3,
one higher than you, Dan, Perez,
2,
Edition sequence start.
yeah, Giovinazzi,
2,
Grosjean and Magnussen.
2 and 2.
Oh, that's higher than anybody else would have given them. Right,
Megan's feeling generous.
she is, isn't she? It's British Grand Prix and being in the pool is sort of bringing out her lighter side.
Not really.
Right, British Grand Prix is done and dusted. We're at the halfway stage of the season now, and now we've got the German Grand Prix next. Megan, you're not with us this weekend.
Nope.
So you'll be back with us at the Hungarian Grand Prix next week. Dad, it's just me and you in the commentary box. What do you think's going to happen this weekend? Mercedes celebrating their 125th anniversary and their 200th Grand Prix start. White livery. Ferrari looking good.
I
on
think
Vettel's
you'll have
soil.
a happy Austrian.
Toto, yeah.
I think
yeah.
I can't do Toto.
No,
He needs to be a bit deeper. That's
That's Toto. yeah. Megan, just quickly, who do you think is going to win in Germany?
I don't know. Probably.
Megan's going to guess.
Maybe the other one was Nicky.
It did sound like
Bottas.
Nicky.
He
You're
sounded
saying
like Nicky.
Bottas. You're saying Bottas.
Sure.
Okay. Dad, top 3 for the race?
Top 3 for the race this weekend. Well,
In
Hamilton,
Germany, yeah.
Leclerc,
Yeah.
and Verstappen.
Oh, that's a nice top
Bottas,
3.
Hamilton, Verstappen.
That's Megan's top 3. They're nice top 3s. Right, coverage details for this weekend's Grand Prix. Next up, following this programme, you can watch the F1 Korea game, Part 3, a 5-minute McLaren time attack in the 2008 McLaren at Silverstone. Following that as well, you can watch the German Grand Prix Thursday preview on Friday.
I've been all over the place. I can't find a Silverstone anywhere. I wonder if it's the gravel.
I've got the gravel and it's upstairs.
He's got the gravel, but he ain't got the deputy. Something like that, anyway.
I actually know, but I do know someone who got the...
I've got
yeah,
the sun. Something like that.
I know.
But
Right.
he's got the gravel.
On Friday, you can watch the Friday practice review. Saturday is the Saturday practice. With Sunday, the Sunday race preview, and an earlier podcast because I'm away in Scarborough next week. So on Monday,
Welcome to sunny Scarborough.
on Monday, you can listen to me and Dad doing the German Grand Prix podcast as well.
Scarborough, Brid.
Bridlington, Grid.
Scarborough, Brid, Whitby.
Oh yes, oh, nice 3.
Cleethorpes,
Okay,
Hunstanton,
we've got to go now because it's really going to run out. So
Southend, East Coast.
I want one word from the pair of you to describe the British Grand Prix. Then we'll go off air. Megan first.
Interesting.
Dad.
Brilliant.
That's it. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone, won by Lewis Hamilton, a British driver for the 6th time in his career, the most successful driver in Formula One history at Silverstone. And he's going on to the German Grand Prix, where last year he came from 14th on the grid to 1st. It is going to be electric. We'll join us for the weekend at the German Grand Prix. But from Silverstone, it's goodbye from RAF Silverstone.